Question number 1, sub-question 2 of the FEPM portion of the exam. In this question, we are being asked several questions actually, and for each of the box that are left blank, we need to choose the correct answer. The way to answer this is to read the text, of course, and what I've done is to put the important parts in one file, in one long image file, and then I've put an underline to the words that should help us answer the question. So if you're reading the text in the actual exam, you may also want to put an underline on the words that are important for you, that you want to remember, and then you gotta also definitely understand what's going on and what the question is asking, and you may have to go back and forth. So what, maybe you've reached the end part of the question or the sub question, but you need to go back to the previous page or the previous part of the question to know if the answer is really what you think it would be. So in this case, I've put them all together in sort of a compact form, and I'm thinking that this would be helpful for us. So maybe we can check first the list of choices that we got. Okay, so this question has several possible answers, and it seems to be about attacks, about people doing malicious stuff to our server, to our service. And if we look at some of the questions here, for example, brute force attack is something that people who may want to get into a web service via its login page, they could use a brute force attack to check each and every possibility, and then from there find out what the password would be. Of course, there are a lot of people who do security, and already it's kind of well known that you got to have some way to prevent a brute force attack where people would just try out passwords, and using the help of computers, of course, they could check several thousands and even more likely possibilities of how to get into your system via the password. So there are people who would add, for example, if you're trying out any of the passwords here, you only got 3 tries and then you gotta wait for a much longer time. Or if you got the password, there would be another security level where they ask you if this is really you entering or not, because they'll send you an SMS message and things like that. Okay. Letter B saying cross-site scripting. I think we'll find out what this is later on if we go back to the set of questions and set of boxes that are there for us to fill up. But just looking at the words here, it means cross-site. So you got a web page here, you got a site here, and you're going to another site, and you're using some sort of scripting technique. Scripting meaning writing some instructions, computer instructions, and from there maybe you go from this site to another site. So that's something that we can think about when we see these words. Dictionary attack is kind of like brute force attack, but in this case is using words from the dictionary. So if you're using any of the passwords that would come out in the dictionary because you're using words, actual words, then it's easier for the attacker to find out what your password is. I know there are people who would combine several words together so that it will be a lot harder, but again, um, people with the help of computers can find things much faster. Um, so maybe if you have only 2 words combined, you can have more words combined there, so it's a lot harder. Okay. Letter D, directory traversal seems to be about once you've gotten into the system, you can just look at the directory, and from there you can find out what files are available there, what folders are available there, and then you can see some more stuff inside the system, and then maybe we can get stuff there that you'd want to steal, for example. And so I think that's something that we can think about when we read the words directory traversal. DOS attacks, okay, so demand denial. So this is denial of service. If you're providing a service online and there's a group that wants to shut down your service, they could maybe launch an attack where so many transactions, so many requests are done so that your server can take all of them up, and it will take it a really long time to finish, and because of that nobody else could use your service anymore, and eventually your computer has to be shut down or has to be restored, and because of that there's a denial of service. Okay, port scanning. So this one looks like if you're in the network already, you want to know what port the server is using, what ports are available out there, because you can actually know if this port, for example, is used to access the web server. For example, in a Linux machine, if the SSH client server installation was done there, then if you know the port where it's open, then you can pretty much connect to the Linux machine and then do whatever attack you'd want to do, like for example a directory traversal attack. So that's why in a network it will be good if you have combinations of Linux and Windows and any of the other operating systems out there too, because if you're, for example, familiar only with Windows and the server that you want to attack is using Linux, then you might need to have some other guy help you out, or you might need to learn how to use Linux too, because the the commands would not be the same anymore. There will be some variation, and especially the directory system won't necessarily be the same, whether it's forward slash black backslash forward slash backslash, things like that could pretty much ruin your bot, and so you would have to change a few more things there and take more of your time, right? So just having that part there, is it forward slash or backslash? Causes time already. Now, social engineering, as we will learn later on, is something about using human interaction to find certain things, to get hold of certain information. Maybe this guy likes to party a lot, and you maybe interact with him while he's there, and maybe when he's in a happy mood, you can ask him certain things, and then you'll find out information that you'll need to attack a system. SQL injection, SQL injection. If we look at the word, SQL is a database related language, so structured query language. If you want to find out how many patients are there in the database, you can use some SQL command. In this case, it's saying injection, which seems like if you hear something like that, it's added to the instructions so that you can ruin some of the data there, or you can get hold some of the data there if you want to. So these things are pretty much related to security, and knowing what types of attacks are there would definitely help us defend ourselves. Okay, so having explained all that stuff, let's now look at the boxes available, the boxes that we need to answer. Okay, so it's saying something about an analysis by company S. They're doing a vulnerability analysis, and this is supposedly the result. We have a box here, and if we read the following text, the text after the box, we'll find out that this is sort of like the definition of what we need to look for the answer, okay? It's saying makes the database server execute unexpected operations. And just like what we explained a while ago, SQL injection seems to be that answer already, right? Because it has something about database server executing unexpected operations because something got into the instructions, and because we have the word database, it's something related to also the structural query language. If we looked at the remaining choices, they don't seem to have that part as clear as this one, the SQL injection, okay? Okay, so let's go to the next one. The next box is saying, since there is a vulnerability by which a script can be embedded in a web page by an attacker, there is a possibility that an operator of a wholesaler can be led to another website that steals the user ID and password. Okay, so in this case, just like what we explained a while ago too, we got some kind of script going on here, and we see the word here, script there, and it's moving from the one web page to another. So the script has been embedded in a web page, and then it moves to another web page. It leads you to another web page. So that sounds really like the cross-site scripting that we were talking about a while ago. So the answer is letter B. Okay, and then for the last one, Company M took the measures to address the underlying sections. Okay, and we got here in security education for operators to prevent something, incidents that take advantage of human errors. Okay, so in this case, take advantage of human errors. If we're talking about people saying stuff that they shouldn't, or people revealing certain information about their systems that they shouldn't because maybe they drank so much beer or whatever it is that they drank, that they are in this sort of happy mood that people can just ask them something and they'll be very inclined to answer, right? That's why there are certain security personnel, security IT engineers that opt not to drink beer, alcohol at all, and prefer to maybe go home much earlier than the other guys. Okay, I know there are those also who prefer not to talk about work. They'd say, I don't want to talk about work when I'm outside. Could be related to the banking, financial industry. So they might reveal something if they talk too much, and so they'd rather opt not to say something about their work, even though they're willing to go outside and hang out with the other guys at night. But of course, there are those who prefer to abstain going out at all. I mean, they'd rather just go home and not go out and hang out with the other guys at all, right? Okay, so social engineering, there is got this part about social, which is something related to human factors. And we're using engineering to find out information much faster in that way. Okay? So again, the answers are in sequence: SQL injection, cross-site scripting, and social engineering. Again, the technique here is to know what exactly you're looking for and finding out from the available text what what are the hints, what are the things that we need to know so that we can identify the correct answer from among the choices. And it's usually, if the box is there, the explanation, the description would be somewhere there, quite near where the box is too. Okay? All right.